Look, this will be my first live because prior to this, I was going live on TikTok, but TikTok doesn't like the topics that I'm covering. So I decided to switch to Facebook. So now you'll see me on YouTube and Facebook. Okay, so hello to my Facebook crowd, and I suggest you to subscribe. Yeah, and send me stars, comments, and so on. Let's interact. Now, I'll be quoting uh, from page 759. No. Oh no, I did this already, so let's move ahead to page 771. This Dagny, he was saying, standing at the window, as if looking out at the peaks, not of mountains, but of time. The rebirth of Danconia copper and of the world has to start here in the United States. This country was the only country in history born not of chance and blind tribal warfare, but as a rational product of man's mind. This country was built on the supremacy of reason, and for one magnificent century it redeemed the world. It will have to do so again. So this is the words. These are the words of one of the characters in the novel, and this reflects the like the admiration for the United States that a lot of us have. Yeah, the land of the free, and free means you can be yourself, you can pursue your own happiness, which may not go in line with conservative or liberal values and collectivist forms of self-governance and society organizing. This is why the United States is so attractive for rational, freedom-loving, reasonable people. And this is why we want to keep it this way, yeah? As free as possible from both right-wing collectivism and left-wing collectivism. All right, now page 781. Yes, 781. I am a businessman and I never do anything without payment. You've paid me. Do you see why I wanted to play for you tonight? She raised her head. He stood in the middle of his living room. They were alone, with the window open to the summer night, to the dark trees on a long sweep of ledges descending toward the glitter of the valley's distant lights. Yeah, the following quote, I think, pertains to the same idea, but I'll comment on it first. So Richard Halley in the novel, and for those of you who are just joining, this is Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand, okay? Whose real name was Alisa Rosenbaum. She was born in Tsarist Russia and then immigrated into the United States under Stalin, which was not a small feat, right? And she created her own life here. She forged her own philosophy. She made her own name and fortune. Pretty inspiring, if you ask me. So Richard Halley in the novel is a composer, but he says, I'm a businessman and I never do anything without payment. I love the philosophy of objectivism. One of the reasons is that it promotes this idea of fair trade between human beings, rational and free and educated human beings. You can be a trader in any profession. You can be a fair trader and do that in any profession of your choice. For instance, he is a composer. I am a private tutor. Yeah, I tutor, I teach, I help people learn English, French, chess, philosophy, and a few other subjects. But I'm a trader too. I trade my knowledge and my methodology, which I developed myself, for money or some other value that I find valuable. Yeah, we can do bartering. You can pay me in different ways. I prefer money, but I'm open to other things. So it's a fair trade. Yes, I give you something that you find valuable, like my knowledge on English or some other topics, and you give me something that you find valuable, like money. Yeah, the money that you've earned. So this is fair exchange. And you can be a tradesperson, you can be a trader in any profession um, you do. Yeah. And if it's not win-win, like if you give something but you don't receive um, something in return that you value, then you need to quit that. Like for instance, if you're a doctor or a teacher and they underpay you or they don't respect you, you may quit that and you may do something else, or you may do the same thing at a different place, right? So that's still trading. And if you have self-esteem, if you love life, freedom, achievement, you want to prosper, not just survive but prosper, then you are interested in this type of win-win relationship. Right, next page, 782. That is the payment I demand. It's the same guy, Richard Hawley. That is the payment I demand. Not many can afford it. I don't mean your enjoyment. I don't mean your emotion. Emotions be damned. I mean your understanding and the fact that your enjoyment was of the same nature as mine, that it came from the same source, from your intelligence, from the conscious judgment of a mind able to judge my work by the standard of the same values that went to write it. I mean, not the fact that you failed, but that you felt what I wished you to feel. Not the fact that you admire my work, but that you admire it for the things I wished to be admired. This is so beautiful. I'm going to keep it again like this to make a separate video on it. I love objectivism. I love these ideas, and rational people, like, we crave for profound connections. Yeah, like I know that I do. I am looking for intelligent people. One example, today I was invited to join a mafia game in Glendale. Those of you who don't know it, it's like two groups, like 10 people, or starting from 6 or 7 people can play that game. You have a few mafia representatives, and then you have free citizens. And the mafia is trying to annihilate the citizens, and the citizens need to discover and annihilate the mafia representatives. So there is not much intelligence going on. Like, yeah, you could try to discover who are the bad guys based on their behavior, based on their speech. So there is some form of intelligence in that respect, but still it's not that intelligent. I participated in their games for 3 weeks, I think, but today I already feel tired of it. I'm not that interested. It's not that attractive because of the lack of the intellectual component of the game. So, as an intellectual being, I crave for I crave for intellect. I want to connect with people or groups that are about higher values. And in that group, um, other players, they are not really about higher values, to be honest. They come to meet new, especially men, like lots of Armenian men come there to join to meet new girls, and it's not really about anything that intellectual or profound. Yeah. So this guy Richard Hawley, Richard Halley, he left the world and now he lives in that utopia with John Galt. He left the world because the world did not appreciate his music the way he wanted to be appreciated. Yeah, he wanted to be appreciated for his achievement, for the fact that he creates such beautiful music, but others were not giving him that. Others thought that he owed them, the audience, everything, his fame, his recognition, and they were not interested in uh, analyzing or understanding in a profound way his music and so on. Okay, page 783. Whether it's a symphony or a coal mine, all work is an act of creating and comes from the same source, from an inviolate capacity to see through one's own eyes, which means the capacity to perform a rational identification, which means the capacity to see, to connect, and to make what had not been seen, connected, and made before. So beautiful. This is how inventions are made, how people invent new things. They declutter their vision or they teach themselves to see deeply. And then they learn to connect a few things together. And then beautiful things are made this way. That shining vision which they talk about as belonging to the authors of symphonies and novels, what do they think is the driving faculty of men who discover how to use oil, how to run a mine, how to build an electric motor? That sacred fire which is said to burn within musicians and poets, what do they suppose moves an industrialist to defy the whole world for the sake of his new metal, as the inventors of the airplane, the builders of the railroads, the discoverers of new germs or new continents have done through all the ages? Beautiful. So beautiful. Okay, I'm keeping this to quote again. Yeah. Now, on the same page, we continue. This is, Miss Taggart, this sort of spirit, courage, and love for truth, as against a sloppy bum who goes around proudly assuring you that he has almost reached the perfection of a lunatic because he's an artist who hasn't the faintest idea what his artwork is or means. He's not restrained by such crude concepts as being or meaning. He's the vehicle of higher mysteries. He doesn't know how he created his work or why. It just came out of him spontaneously, like vomit out of a drunkard. He did not think. He wouldn't stoop to thinking. He just felt it. All he has to do is feel. He feels the flabby, loose-mouthed, shifty-eyed, drooling, shivering, uncongested bastard. I, who know what discipline, what effort, what tension of mind, what unrelenting strain upon one's power of clarity are needed to produce a work of art. I who know that it requires a labor which makes a chain gang look like rest and a severity no army drilling sadist could impose. I'll take the operator of a coal mine over any walking vehicle of higher mysteries. The operator knows that it's not his feelings that keep the coal cars moving under the earth, and he knows what does keep them moving. Feelings! Oh, yes, we do feel. He, you, and I, we are, in fact, the only people capable of feeling, and we know where our feelings come from. But what he did not know and have delayed learning, but what we did not know and have delayed learning for too long is that nature of those who claim that they cannot account for their feelings. We did not know what it is that they feel. We are learning now. And so on. And I think this is the same conversation continuing on the next page. They let me play nothing but symbols of depravity, nothing but harlots, dissipation chasers, and home wreckers, always to be beaten at the end by the little girl next door, personifying the virtue of mediocrity. They used my talent for the defamation of itself. That was why I quit. Not since childhood, thought Dagny, had she felt that sense of exhilaration after witnessing the performance of a play, the sense that life held things worth reaching, not the sense of having studied some aspect of a sewer there had been no reason to see. As the audience filed away into the darkness from the lighted rows of benches, she noticed Alice Wyatt, Judge Narragansett, Ken Danager, men who had once been said to despise all forms of art. Yeah, this is another person, Kay Ludlow. I think she was a Hollywood actress in the novel. She also quit because, again, I'll read this thought again. Whatever quality of human greatness I have the talent to portray, that was the quality the outer world sought to degrade. They let me play nothing but symbols of depravity, nothing but harlots, dissipation chasers, and home wreckers. So she was a beautiful woman, and she was given those roles because of her beauty and because of the values of the filmmakers and the audience. So this is why she, a Hollywood star, in the novel decided to quit and joined these people in Gold's Gauge. Okay. Now, page 785. She thought of the teachers whom the schools of the world had lost when she looked at the three pupils of Dr. Atkinson on the evening of their yearly reunion. Oh, wait. Yeah. The only other guest he had invited was Kay Ludlow. The six of them sat in the backyard of his house with the light of the sunset on their faces and the floor of the valley condensing into a soft blue vapor far below. She looked at his pupils, at the three pliant, agile figures half stretched on canvas chairs in poses of relaxed contentment, dressed in slacks, windbreakers, and open-collared shirts. John Gold, Francisco d'Anconia, Ragnar Daneskjöld. These three people, John Gold, Francisco d'Anconia, and Ragnar Daneskjöld, are focal to the entire novel, actually. There is some other interesting passage here. I would not surrender them to the educational systems devised to stunt a child's brain, to convince him that reason is impotent, that existence is an irrational chaos with which he is unable to deal, and thus reduce him to a state of chronic terror. You marvel at the difference between my children and those outside, Miss Taggart? yet the cause is so simple. The cause is that here in Gulch, okay, there is no person who would not consider it monstrous ever to confront a child with the slightest suggestion of the irrational. Oh, okay, I think I wanted to quote this actually. So, this state of chronic terror, when you tell someone that the world is impossible to mm, learn about, that we humans are damned to irrational existence, that you cannot understand reality, you create this state of chronic terror in the human being. Um, I felt it on my own, like on my own. Uh, Whenever I face the unknown in some um, casual situations, I get frustrated, sometimes even angry. For instance, like I have an appointment with my dentist, for instance. I'm there waiting and it's too long, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I'm just waiting in the lobby. Now, we uh, the as we kind of, what's the word, move away from the known, as we get into the unknown, we get more frustrated. Like I see it on my own. Like rationally, we made a deal. Yes, I come at 7 o'clock, and then we have this procedure for, let's say, 30 minutes, and then I leave. Um, the moment, the longer it is delayed, the higher the sense of frustration. Yeah, we feel angry. And thank you to that person, one person on YouTube who gave me a thumbs up. I encourage others to do the same. Okay, give me thumbs up. I'm reading quotes from Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. Okay, let me know where you guys are joining me from, and let's interact. And let me know if you know anything about the philosophy of objectivism by Ayn Rand. Okay, so uncertainty is frustrating to the human mind. Of course, we cannot control everything, and sometimes we are faced with unexpected things. That's fine. And you cannot, you wouldn't want to become psychotic or neurotic about those things, yeah? However, you as a rational being, you have this huge organ, the mind, yeah, the brain, and you have this operating system on the brain, the mind. And as a rational human being with this huge, powerful organ, you want to um, you want to understand the reality. You want to name things, and you want to make sense out of all of that. And if you are unfortunate enough to be grown in a society or in a household which values uncertainty and blind faith more, then you are given this state of chronic terror because you are taught that reality is fake, you live in the matrix, or there is heaven, and you are introduced to a deity which can be very revengeful. You are introduced to ideas about the end of the world if you're in a religious household. I was terrorized by my grandma when she understood that I was queer. I think I was around 12 years old. Um, One day she showed me a postcard with devils and hell on it, and she said, "Bad boys go to this place, so you should obey us, you should be obedient, and she didn't use any clear terms, but that was her message. Bad boys go into this horrible place, and there were some devils with horns. It says, I felt terrorized for several days. I was, under the impression of that postcard. It was terrible. So you are injected with this with this idea of chronic terror, um, when you are not given a worldview which is based on reason, science, data, reality. Um, and it can be done through religion, it can be done through secular means as well. Um, in my culture, in Armenia, among Armenians, for instance, there is this fear of the annihilation of all Armenians. Well, we have gone through the genocide historically, it's true, but still a lot of people, nationalists, right-wing conservatives, live in this self-fulfilling prophecy that something terrible is going to happen, a disaster, and they build everything on that premise, on that uh, irrational fear and expectation that something bad is going to happen, and therefore they are very neurotic, they are very aggressive, they are very hateful, very racist, homophobic, etc., etc. And this is why 30 years ago we started that irrational, crazy conflict with our neighbor Azerbaijan. And because there was so much desperation and so much delusion, like Armenia, which comprised of 3.5 million Armenians, and Azerbaijan, which consisted of 9+ million Azerbaijanis, and then Turkey and Azerbaijan are good neighbors. So anyway, Armenians decided to go against their neighbors, and there are around 30 million ethnic Azerbaijanis living in Iran, which is south of Armenia and Azerbaijan, but still Armenians didn't care. We were driven by this crazy, delusional, desperate fanaticism, by faith, and this was presented as a conflict based on faith. Armenians are Christian, Azerbaijanis are Muslim, so this conflict was also painted in religious colors in some cases, like Armenian military sometimes had those crosses on their military equipment in 90s, in early 90s. So the state of chronic terror, which is described in this passage, unfortunately, it is given to people by their cultures and societies, and it's unfortunate. And this is how we create these inner saboteurs in our minds. Let me give you another example. Again, it's from my own observations of my own mind, how it thinks. Like sometimes I imagine approaching someone, for just talking to them, for getting to know someone new. And what my mind does is my mind gives me the worst scenarios, like the person whom I approach gets angry, aggressive, they don't want to meet me, they maybe attack me or insult me. So there is this inner saboteur, this fear-based software that is installed in me. And this was done to me by my own family, by my own society. Like my father regularly said, people are terrible and bastards. Hi Artur on Facebook, nice to see you. So my father said, don't trust anyone, people are bad, the world is a dangerous place. So he passed on to me this state of chronic terror, this state of delusional pessimism. Like everyone is bad, people are bad, don't trust anyone. And this was done to me in the educational system in my country, the Republic of Armenia, as well. Um, we Armenians were presented by our teachers and professors at universities and schools as, I don't know the name in English, but let's call it a nail. We were said that we are a nail among these Muslim and Turkic nations, like Armenia. The western neighbor of Armenia is Turkey, the eastern neighbor is Azerbaijan, and then from the south we have Iran. All of them are Muslim, right? And at schools, at universities, we were told that we are an obstacle among all these Muslim states, and they dream of destroying us. So the world is a dangerous place, and we are so heroic and unique, and our holy mission was to oppose this world, was to create obstacles for Turkey and Azerbaijan to interact with each other as free nations. So our holy mission was to be living obstacle, and they use this word nail. In Armenian it is sep, which is like a nail, like as a nail among in that region. Our mission was to disrupt things. Our mission was to not to allow interaction and regular connection and alliance between those Muslim states, especially Turkey and Azerbaijan. So in my family I was said, be careful, the world is bad and dangerous, and at my school, at my university, I was told and taught the same. My mission was to be an obstacle. My mission was to beware of everything, to beware of the world, and it's unhealthy. And it was in a single family, and it was in the entire country. So it can be religious, it can be political, and it's ugly, and it makes you miserable. You become afraid of everything, you become very aggressive, you isolate yourself from the world because of that state of chronic terror, because of that inability to be open and to be rational. And now I'm re-educating myself, right? As a free, conscious adult, I do not want to carry those crazy and disruptive and negative and destructive paradigms. Yeah, that paradigm of death and isolation in my mind. Okay, page 787. They were majoring in two subjects, physics and philosophy. Their choice amazed everybody but me. Modern thinkers considered it unnecessary to perceive reality, and modern physicists considered it unnecessary to think. I knew better. What amazed me was that these children knew it too. This is kind of interesting too, yes? So physics and philosophy as two expressions or two outlets in terms of understanding our reality and understanding how to deal with it, yeah, how to build based on it. And this is one way out of that state of chronic terror, yeah, when you are afraid of everything, what the future holds, a war may destroy everything, etc. Of course, bad things happen. So, this philosophy is not about deluding yourself or wearing pink glasses, but still, um, it's one thing to believe that something terrible is going to happen regardless, and believing that sometimes suffering and uh, bad things are unavoidable, but still choosing to confront it in a or prevent it as much as possible in a rational and creative way. So physics plus philosophy, that's a good combination for people who want to understand reality and who want to learn to think about reality and to learn to live in this reality as rational human beings. All right, I think I'll go with one more quote for today. It's sad that you guys do not interact. No comments so far and only one thumbs up. I'd be happy to learn where you guys are from, whether you've read Atlas Shrugged, whether you know Ayn Rand and their philosophy of objectivism, where you guys are joining me from. Like, let's interact, you know? I want to meet new people and, yeah, talk, you know? Let's make this interactive and more interesting. I wonder, yes, on Facebook I have this ability to, yeah, invite people. So I'm just starting out on Facebook. Previously I was going live on TikTok, but TikTok, it's just, it's not that productive. So let's hope. I think I'll go live on Facebook for maybe 30 lives, and let's see if Facebook will be better in terms of promoting my lives, in terms of helping me find rational thinkers, people who like the philosophy of objectivism, and make some interesting, exchanges. No, I think that's it for today. My voice seems to be tired, so I'll give myself more time and self-care. Thank you for having been with me. Doesn't matter when you watch these lives or rewatch them. If you are here right now, and if you're hearing me, please thumbs up, comments, shares, and donations. These things are welcome, and these things motivate me to continue with my lives. Okay, thank you, and see you next time.